Join us at the Women of Courage show every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. for information that will change your life. You can also visit us at our website, touchedbythelight.us, for more information. Thank you. If you do not like your life, then change it. Listen to us when we broadcast, and we can help you find a new way. Before we begin, we're going to take a few moments to collect ourselves and to relax before we engage into our discussion. What we need to do is to focus now on bringing positive energy into our lives and into the world. The energy that we project every day is the same energy that we get back. We have all seen those people that can walk into a room and they glow. People want to be around them. People feel better being in their presence. That's the energy that we need to create. And once we learn how to do this, our lives will be filled with greatness. We will attract that positive energy. And how we can do this is by changing our outlook, meeting every day with gratitude, thankfulness, optimism, and once you do this, you will see a change in yourself. I want you to take a moment and close your eyes. Think about everything positive in your life. Family, friends, a career, your faith. All of this is how you start your day. Every morning when you wake up, I want you to think about what is positive in your life. I want you to list 10 reasons why your life is amazing. You will see the change. You will be changed. You will begin to attract life's blessings. Lead with gratitude. Be thankful and think positive. Today I'm going to discuss a particular domestic violence victim. Her name is Dr. Teresa Ann Sievers. She lived in Bonita Springs, Florida. She was 46 years old and the mother of two children. She was found murdered in her home. She had been bludgeoned to death with a hammer. Teresa Sievers was known locally for her appearances on television and in magazines. She operated the Restorable Health and Healing Center in a medical center. People say that she dedicated her life to helping women and children. Her husband, Mark Sievers, was the office manager at the health center. Teresa Sievers' sister said that she was a board certified internal medicine doctor and held a medical master's of science degree in metabolic and nutritional medicine from the University of South Florida. Teresa Sievers had a mother, a brother, and sister. When her murderers came to trial, all the relatives appeared in the courtroom and they sat beside the prosecutor. They never said a word during the trial. Later on in the show, I'm going to have you listen to a few minutes of what the local news reporters had to say about Teresa Sievers' death. I'm also going to have you listen to a few minutes of when her husband was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. After a long investigation, police determined that Miss Sievers' husband, Mark Sievers, had two men, one his childhood friend Curtis Wayne Wright Jr. of Missouri and Jimmy Rogers of Illinois, kill his wife, while Mark Sievers and his two children were visiting relatives in Connecticut. To show you what an animal Mark Sievers is, he asked his friend to kill his wife while his friend was celebrating getting married. Imagine. Mark Sievers knew that his friend was not well off and needed money, So he flew to Missouri to ask this man to help him kill his wife. Mark Sievers wanted to make certain that he was out of town when his wife was murdered. He told his friend that his wife was committing adultery and that he would lose his children and everything that he had if his wife was not killed. He failed to say is that he was committing adultery and that he could not run the clinic that his wife owned after he divorced her. So Mark Sievers wanted everything. Also, there was a life insurance policy on Miss Sievers between $4.4 million to $5 million. Mr. Sievers was killed June 2015. The two men that killed her were arrested August 2015. What happened is the girlfriend of Jimmy Rogers contacted police and told them that her boyfriend and Mr. Wright had been commissioned by Mark Sievers to kill his wife. The police flew to Illinois to discuss what her statement. Wright had agreed to kill Teresa for an undisclosed amount of money, and then he was supposed to pay Rogers $10,000 for helping him. What sealed the deal was the GPS data from a vehicle that Jimmy Rogers rented showed it was driven to Kurt Wright's home in Missouri and then driven to Teresa Sievers' home in Florida on the night of the murder. Men were also tracked to the local Walmart near the Sievers' home. Wright and Mr. Sievers used coded conversations on disposable phones. Also, the neighbors heard them arguing loudly, and the neighbors knew Mark Sievers was committing adultery. Curtis Wright pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. In exchange for a testimony, he was sentenced to 25 years. Jimmy Rogers was found guilty of second-degree murder, and he was found guilty, not guilty of conspiracy, but he was found guilty of trespassing. He was sentenced to life in prison. All this occurred, all these lies were destroyed because Mark Sievers wanted a divorce, but he also wanted all the money. Now I'll have you listen to the 3 small court proceedings. This will give you some sense of this man's thinking and the gravity of what he did.
Digital evidence led to 3 suspects in the murder of a high-profile doctor. When Teresa Sievers was found dead in her Florida home in 2015, there were no immediate suspects. Her husband had a solid alibi, but a large digital footprint left by her killers led police more than 1,000 miles from the crime scene. Aaron Moriarty of 48 Hours investigates.
This case was about the perfect marriage, the perfect friendship, the perfect murder.
Teresa Sievers is found on her kitchen floor, dead.
The mysterious murder of Dr. Teresa Sievers in her Bonita Springs, Florida home was front-page news.
People said that she was just a little spitfire, just a short little thing, and always wearing, 4-inch heels, clacking around.
On Sunday evening, June 28, 2015, the doctor was home alone after cutting short a family vacation, leaving her husband, Mark Sievers, and their 2 daughters in upstate New York.
It will later be determined that there are 17 impact wounds to her skull.
A hammer was discovered at the crime scene, but who would want the doctor dead?
Then a break in the case came. From all places, from the state of Missouri, there were electronic footprints. When you step outside your home, folks, you're always being observed.
2 men were arrested, a career criminal, Jimmy Rogers, and the other, Curtis Wayne Wright, Mark Sievers' best friend. Wayne Wright seemed to have changed his appearance to look just like Mark.
Once you started to unwrap it a little bit, it was nutty, it was weird.
And things only got weirder when Wright claimed the man behind it all was Mark Sievers himself.
Mr. Wright, who killed Dr. Teresa Sievers?
Jimmy Rogers and I physically did it, but Mark Sievers was also involved in the planning.
At trial, Wright, the star witness, told the jury that Sievers and his wife were having marital and money problems.
The only option that he had was for her to die.
But with Sievers hundreds of miles from the crime scene and no physical evidence, whose story would jurors believe?
Well, Erin joins us live at the table here. Erin, good morning.
Good morning. I do not want to make light of this case.
Yeah.
This doctor was violently killed. But I have to tell you, some of the details in this case are so odd, you think this murder was planned by a Hollywood screenwriter. It's one of the strangest cases.
How significant was it that Mark Sievers' best friend actually looked like him?
Well, because the whole thing comes down to credibility. Can I pull up a picture of the two, how much they look alike?
Wow.
They're not brothers. They're not cousins.
Yeah. Right.
This is, over the years, Mark Sievers, the husband's best friend, started changing himself into the husband. Even when Mark became bald, he then shaved his head. Yeah. He has a criminal history. He even is a person of interest in another murder. As the husband, talked to the police without any kind of attorney, has no criminal history. Whom do you believe? This is just the oddest story.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good tease, Erin. Nicely done. Erin, thanks. You can see Erin's full report, The Plot to Kill Dr. Sievers, tomorrow night at 10, 9 Central, right here on CBS.
Breaking news just into the Fox 4 newsroom. We are learning that a verdict has been reached in the Mark Sievers trial. Now, we have a team that has been outside of the courthouse. We've been tracking this story since the beginning. So we're going to send it right out to Jane Monreal and Sandra Rodriguez. They are live outside of the courtroom. We're waiting for a verdict. Jane, what do we know right now? What are we seeing?
Do you hear all this? Okay.
I hear it.
Okay. Yes, Shari, we are standing by for the verdict. We do know that a jury has reached a verdict at this late hour. They were in deliberations. They were supposed to be released at 6:30, but they have reached a verdict here after both the state and defense presented their closing arguments. Mark Sievers did not take the stand. We're looking at the family that is in the courtroom as well, waiting for this all-important decision on the fate of Mark Sievers in the killing of his wife, Dr. Teresa Sievers, back in 2015 in their Bonita Beach home. Sandra Rodriguez is getting back into the courtroom, and we also have our photographer there as well as we stand by outside for the verdict. We will be bringing this to you as soon as the jury is back into the courtroom. But again, a little bit of a surprise that we are learning a verdict has been reached. They only went into deliberations after a few hours of closing arguments from both the prosecutors and the defense. So with that understanding, they have reached a verdict so quickly after seeing all of the evidence in this relatively short trial. The judge gave it about 6 weeks, and that would have put it to next week. But here we are on December 4th, or excuse me, December 3rd, and now we are waiting to hear the verdict. So as soon as that comes in, and we should get word here in just a few minutes, we will go ahead and break in once again, Shari, to bring you that verdict live from the Lee County Courthouse. Let's go ahead and listen in right now. Judge Kyle.
Defense is ready. So either side need any time to talk to their sides or their parties, because these things are tough, and I'm not going to have any outbursts.
Judge, we talked on the elevator ride up.
Defense?
We're fine, Your Honor.
Okay. I mean, if you can't handle it, you should wait in the hallway and let someone tell you after we have the verdict. Bring them out.
Yes, sir.
Jury entry.
Jury has reached a verdict in the Mark Sievers trial. Sievers is accused of hiring his best friend, Curtis Wright, and another man, Jimmy Rogers, to murder his wife, Dr. Teresa Sievers, in 2015. Now, Fox 4 has been on top of this story since the very beginning. We know that the state rested on Monday.
Please be seated.
Rested last night. Let's tune in.
Have you selected a
For the
foreperson?
verdict.
That's you, ma'am. Have you reached your unanimous verdict? Will you please pass the verdict form to the bailiff? Thank you. We'll let the clerk publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 20th Judicial Circuit, in and for Lee County, Florida, criminal action. State of Florida versus Mark D. Sievers, case number 15 CF 673B. Verdict. We, the jury, find as follows as to the defendant in this case. Count 1, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Conspiracy. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy. So say we all, December 4th, 2019, by the foreperson.
Would either side like the jury polled?
No. Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, if I could have you state your name or your juror ID number. As well as the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes.
Sir, your name or ID number? Was that your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole?
Yes, it was.
Ma'am, your name or ID number? That's your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole? Ma'am, your name or ID number?
So the verdict is in.
Your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole.
Has been found guilty of first-degree murder. He has also been found guilty of conspiracy. If you are just joining us, this verdict just came down to us after deliberations. This was a really quick turnaround. We even here were not expecting this so quickly, but Fox 4 has been on top of this story from the beginning. Again, we've been following this story. We know for a while that Sievers was accused of hiring his best friend, Curtis Wright, and another man, Jimmy Rogers, to murder his wife, Dr. Teresa Sievers, a well-known, well-respected doctor here in Southwest Florida, particularly in Bonita Springs, involved with many organizations here in our area. We now know that Mark Sievers has been found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy. Let's listen back in.
And was that your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury, as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole? Ma'am, your name or ID number? Was that your verdict as well as the verdict of the jury as a whole? Yes. Okay. We're going to have to set another court date for the next phase of the trial. I'm going to have to ask that you go back to the jury room for a few moments so I can talk to both sides about that for a moment. And we'll be with you momentarily.
I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Now for my break. Dear listeners, help us save a life. Stop breast cancer from taking lives. Will you assist us in putting the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer in the hands of 1 million people? Please go to the website www.touchedbythelight.us and download the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer. Then email this booklet to 5 friends, asking them to email the booklet to 5 of their friends. We are trying to reach 1 million women with this information to save lives. The death of one woman to breast cancer from our community is one woman too many. We thank you for your support. This is a congratulations and a shout out to the Women of Courage show. Starting in July, we will be publishing articles in the Native Sun. The editors of both papers agreed to allow us to publish articles in their papers. In keeping with our mission, the articles will detail information regarding four linking subjects: reading, self-esteem, sexual abuse, and sex trafficking. To support our mission to bring you information on these subjects, we will appreciate it if you would advertise in these papers. These newspapers support us, we should support them. Give us a shout out at murderedvoices@gmail.com if you read, enjoy, and find our articles helpful. We thank you for listening and supporting our show. Our show could not have a greater audience. Don't forget to email us for dates, times, and locations for our Saturday meetings. God bless.
Today, I want to talk about declaration, making the announcement about who you will become. The thing about declaring or making a statement is once you say it, you begin to own it. It becomes yours. Today, I will no longer be a victim. Today, I will begin to make change. Today, I will start to take care of myself. Those are statements that you can own. Do not allow someone else's opinion have the final words on your heart. I want you to declare who you are. Declare who you will become. Today is the day for change. Today, I want to talk about self-control, the restraint exercised over one person's impulses, emotions, or desires. It is easy nowadays to lose control. We eat too much, drink too much. Everything is accessible to us. The hard part in life is finding that balance, that presence of mind to know what is good for you and to live with that discipline. I know through my own journey that when I am balanced, when I'm showing self-restraint, I start moving better. I start thinking better. I become more confident in who I am. And that's what I want you to think about. What can you do to become more balanced, to act on need and not on emotion? Remember, you are the women of courage. Fortitude can be defined as the strength of mind that enables a person to encounter danger or to bear pain or adversity with courage and staying power. Think about that for a moment. Fortitude is the strength you have when you go through adversity. Everyone listening will go through pain, struggle, and disappointment in our lives. That is a fact. But what defines each of us is what we do after that pain, after that struggle and disappointment. Do we lay down and become a victim, or do we rise up and continue to push forward, continue to believe, continue to fight for ourselves? Remember, you are the women of courage. Resilient is defined as someone that can recover from or adjust easily to misfortune. Now I'm telling you, life is gonna throw a lot of things your way. Some will be good and some will be bad. It is easy to be happy and optimistic when life is great. It is easy to be happy when your money's up, when your family's close, when you have a job. But we all know, life won't always be like this. So when those dark times start to happen, you need to realize this is just a season to a very long book about your life. You need to realize you are stronger than you think. you can overcome adversity through faith and understanding. You are strong and not alone.
Both assistant state attorneys are present, both defense counsel, Mr. Sievers. I'm told we have a verdict. State's ready? Defense is ready? Yes, sir. Does either side need time to talk to any of the members from either family? I mean, if you can't handle it, it'd probably be best if you wait to find out what the verdict is out in the hallway.
We have spoken with the family and they understand.
Okay.
It's appropriate, Your Honor.
Defense?
We're all set.
Okay. Bring them out. Please be seated. I'll ask our foreperson again, have you reached a verdict? If you'll please pass the verdict form to the bailiff. We'll let the clerk publish the verdict.
In the Circuit Court of the 20th Judicial Circuit in and for Lee County, Florida, criminal action. State of Florida versus Mark D. Sievers, case number 15 CF 673B. Verdict form, penalty phase. We, the jury, find as follows as to Mark Sievers in this case. A. Aggravating factors as to count 1. We, the jury, unanimously find the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the capital murder was committed for pecuniary gain. No. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of the capital felony was a homicide and was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification? Yes. If you answer yes to at least one of the aggravating factors listed, please proceed to Section B. If you answered no to every aggravating factor listed, do not proceed to Section B. Mark Sievers is not eligible for the death sentence and will be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. B. Sufficiency of the aggravating factors as to count 1. Reviewing the aggravating factors that we unanimously found to be established beyond a reasonable doubt in Section A, we, the jury, unanimously find the aggravating factors are sufficient to warrant a possible sentence of death? Yes. If you answer yes to Section B, please proceed to Section C. If you answer no to Section B, do not proceed to Section C. Mark Sievers will be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. C. Mitigating circumstances. One or more individual jurors find that one or more mitigating circumstances was established by the greater weight of the evidence? No. Please proceed to Section D regardless of your findings in Section C. D. Eligibility for the death penalty for count 1. We, the jury, unanimously find that the aggravating factors that were proven beyond a reasonable doubt in Section A outweigh the mitigating circumstances established in Section C above as to count 1? Yes. If you answered yes to Section D, please proceed to Section E. If you answered no to Section D, do not proceed. Mark Sievers will be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. E. Jury verdict as to death penalty. Having unanimously found that at least one aggravating factor has been established beyond a reasonable doubt in Section A, that the aggravating factor or factors are sufficient to warrant a sentence of death in Section B, and the aggravating factor or factors outweigh the mitigating circumstances in Section D, we, the jury, unanimously find that Mark Sievers should be sentenced to death? Yes. If your vote to impose death is less than unanimous, the trial court shall impose a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. Dated this 10th day of December in Lee County, Florida.
Either side like the jury polled?
Yes, please.
One moment. I'll start with you, our foreperson. Your juror ID or number or your initials, please. Is that verdict, ma'am, that do you agree that at least, excuse me for a minute, do you agree that each of the findings in the verdict form is yours? Sir, your name or initials or ID number? Each of the findings in the verdict form is yours.
Yes, I do.
Ma'am, your name, initials, or ID number? Do you agree that each of the findings in the verdict form is yours?
Yes, I do.
Ma'am, your name or ID number or initials? Do you agree that each of the findings in the verdict form
Just
is yours?
think about it. Mark Sievers
Ma'am,
sat
your
in a
name, ID
courtroom
number, or initials?
while his friends and family
Ma'am,
heard
do you agree
how
that each
he
of the findings
asked
in the
a
verdict form is
childhood
yours?
friend to kill his
Ma'am,
wife.
your name, initial, or
They learned
initials,
that
or
his
ID
wife
number?
was the breadwinner. It was
Ma'am,
she
do you agree
who
that each of the findings in the
was
verdict form
important
is
to the
yours?
clinic. He was just the manager.
Ma'am, your name,
He
initials,
could
or
not
ID
exist
number?
without her.
Do you
and
agree that
maintain
each of the
same
findings of the
lifestyle
verdict
that
form
he was
is yours?
accustomed to, because he
Ma'am, your
needed
name
his
or
wife
ID
to
number or
service
initials?
Their clients. He wanted the
Do
money
you agree
and the
that each of the
prestige,
findings of
so
the verdict
he had
form
his
is
wife
yours?
killed. Did you
Sir, your
notice
name, ID number,
how
or
clinical
initials?
the judge was when he sentenced
Sir, do you
Mark
agree
Sievers
that
to
each of the
death?
findings of the
There was
verdict
no
form is
emotion in his
yours?
voice. He
Sir, your
followed
name, ID
courtroom
number, or
procedures and
initials?
spoke to both the prosecutor and
And
the
sir, do you
defense
agree
attorney.
that each of the findings
In
in the
Florida,
verdict
the
form is
judge has
yours?
the option
Ma'am,
to
your name,
overrule
ID
a
number, or
jury
initials?
verdict. In this case, the judge
Ma'am, do you
chose
agree
not to.
that each of the
He
findings
let
in the
the
verdict
death
form
sentence
is yours?
stand.
Ma'am, your name,
Mark
ID number, or
Sievers
initials?
actually thought he would get away
Ma'am,
with
do you
killing his
agree
wife
that each of the findings
just
in the
because
verdict
he
form
was
is
not in
yours?
town when she was murdered.
Anything
He
further
would
with the
have been
jury
better
from the
off
state?
divorcing his wife and getting what
From
he
the
could
defense?
from the divorce settlement.
You're going to leave
Now,
with my
2
thanks,
children
the thanks of the
have been
court
left
system here today, and I really appreciate all the time and effort you've put into this case. You've been here for weeks, and it's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask for a case of this type as well. You are free to talk about the case with anyone you'd like to. You're free to refuse to. If you need anything from the clerk, you can contact their office saying that you've been here this long, and you're going to leave with my personal thanks as well. Have a good night.
I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break.
Today, I want to talk about self-control, the restraint exercised over one person's impulses, emotions, or desires. It is easy nowadays to lose control. We eat too much, drink too much, everything is accessible to us. The hard part in life is finding that balance, that presence of mind to know what is good for you, and to live with that discipline. I know through my own journey that when I am balanced, when I'm showing self-restraint, I start moving better. I start thinking better. I become more confident in who I am. And that's what I want you to think about. What can you do to become more balanced, to act on need and not on emotion? Remember, you are the women of courage.
You can visit touchedbythelight.us and learn what our books have to offer to you. Hi, I decided that at the end of every show for the next year, I would share excerpts from a book that I believe would enhance your life and make you a stronger thinker and problem solver. All characteristics that will help you win at life and raise stronger and healthy children. Many of you turn your nose up at reading, or you snub the advice that you must read in life to succeed, or you compare the cost of a book to getting a new pair of shoes or getting your hair done or your nails done. The reason why you make these cost comparisons is because you do not truly value a book. A book is a magnificent instrument that can change the course of your life and the lives of your children. In later shows, I plan to discuss with you how a book changed the lives of certain people. I understand that you do not earn a lot of money, and this money is valuable to you because of all the things you see advertised that you desire, and you do not want to spend a lot of money on a book. A new pair of shoes is more valuable to you than a book. If you truly cannot afford a book, then you need to go to the library and take your children with you for a day of reading. You must gird your loins and proceed at educating yourself. Some of you seem to think that having a conversation with your stupid girlfriend or your stupid boyfriend will help you more than reading a book, when actually having a conversation with your loudmouth girlfriend or loudmouth boyfriend is merely a cathartic, allowing you to blow off steam and proclaim how life has been so unfair to you. What you do not realize is that the advice coming from your do-nothing girlfriend or your do-nothing boyfriend is advice coming from a fool. Your do-nothing girlfriend is a sexual opportunist looking for a man she can impress with her body. When her vagina fails her, what will your girlfriend do but go to work at McDonald's or Wendy's at the age of 60 and continue to spread her ignorance at church? Her daughter will be on the street and her son in prison. She will never realize that her life is the result of the decision she made not to educate herself through reading. All her life, she felt that she had something better to do than reading. She had something better to do than reading with her children. She had something better to do than working with her children. And that was going to the bar, trying to entertain a man, or trying to find some man that would buy her a pair of shoes. A man spending money on her was more important than educating herself. In later shows, I'm going to spend a great deal of time giving you some examples of fools. These are people who think they are smart, willing to trade their body and integrity for a dollar bill. These people end up in the cemetery after lamenting each and every day of their lives about their unfilled dreams. Do not be upset by the use of the word fool. You tell me if a woman is not a fool to instruct her grandson to kill her husband for a $25,000 life insurance. Let that sink in for a moment. Instead of instructing her grandson to make something of his life, the grandmother instructs her grandson to become a murderer, to kill his grandfather. I have this anecdotal advice for you about reading. Listen to this short true story. A friend and I were talking. She said a woman she knew called her and sought to renew their friendship. During their conversation, the woman told my friend that President Trump had done so much for black people, and that's why she voted for him in 2016, and she was going to vote for him again in the upcoming election. My friend asked her a question. She said, "Tell me some of the things that Trump has done for black people." The woman said, "A whole lot." My friend persisted and asked her to name one thing that Trump had done for black people. The woman could not. The woman kept using the phrase "a whole lot of things." My friend said after a while she stopped talking. Finally, the conversation was over and my friend hung up. My friend said, as she hung up, she made up her mind right then that she would never renew her friendship with this woman. Now ask yourself why. Why would she not renew her friendship with this woman? You can answer this question in 2 words. The woman was a poor thinker. She never investigated anything that was told to her. Whether you know it or not, a person who is a poor thinker, who does not examine his or her thinking, is a very dangerous person indeed. Think about it. The book Life Saving Advice presumes to give women and young girls advice about their lives. The assumption is made that these two groups are in need of this valuable information. The assumption is based on a 20-year study into the murders of more than 20,000 American women. Certain conclusions were made during this study. The conclusions were that many women do not recognize they are in danger. They do not recognize the danger signs in their relationships that can lead to their murders. Many women are oblivious to the danger. This information is not taught in the home and it is not taught in schools. Therefore, women are exceedingly vulnerable to violence due to their lack of knowledge. 2 women were shot to death in 2016 in the city of Oak Park, Michigan. The women were sisters, which means that the women supported one another throughout their lives. I believe that these 2 women could have possibly escaped this violence if they had had more information regarding violence against women. If they had known that the most dangerous time for any woman is when she either separates from a man or boyfriend or when she's moving out of the home. No woman should attempt this action unless it is carefully planned, and the woman should leave without the spouse or boyfriend knowing where she has gone. Never give the spouse or boyfriend knowledge that you want to leave him. Never go back to the home for items that you have left. When you leave, leave and plan never to come back. Leave the state. In the book Life Saving Advice, you learn violence against women and children is not a man versus women issue. Violence against women and children has nothing to do with the war of the sexes, and it has nothing to do with homosexuality or with a woman wearing the pants in the family. Violence against women and children is about equality and about sovereignty and about freedom and about power. Violence against women and children is a community issue, and violence against women and children should be seen as a community issue by all groups in our society. The church should see violence against women and children as a community issue. The police should see violence against women and children as a community issue. The legislature should see violence against women and children as a community issue. And the judiciary should see violence against women and children as a community issue. Once the women and men in this country see violence against women and children as a community issue affecting our stability as a nation, we will see it is time for us to change. It is time for America to attempt the greatest social change it has ever conducted since the freeing of the black slaves, because violence against women and children strikes at the soul of our consciousness and the reputation of America as being a free and just nation. Violence against women and children is not a pleasant subject for conversation, and many people simply ignore the violence around them or pretend it doesn't exist even when they see violence occurring in their own family. Nevertheless, violence against women and children is a real issue. Your daughter and your grandchildren are being injured or murdered every day, so this issue must be confronted by the entire community if the violence is to stop. The book Life Saving Advice states apathy is not the answer. Action is the answer. And in order to take action, you must have information. Thus, the purpose of the book and our website, touchedbythelight.us. After reading this book, we ask that you visit our other website, www.nisv.info, and download our free ebooks that will give you some of the information that you will need. The book, Life Saving Advice, demonstrates that violence against women is taking an enormous emotional and financial toll on this country. Every day, our sons and daughters are falling prey to the seduction of sex and drugs. Our children are being led to believe a man should do anything for money, including selling his body for sex. Our children are also being taught integrity is spelled CHEAT. If you can't win, cheat. Man should do whatever he has to do to get ahead. It is okay to lie, cheat, and steal. It's okay to sell women and children. Deceit is all a part of the game. 12 and 13-year-old girls are being taught to dress seductively without being mature enough to have custody of their bodies. Statutory rape is no longer vigorously prosecuted in this country, allowing for the wholesale seduction of young children. We cannot sit in church and hope that the problem will go away. We must fight. We must have courage in face of adversity to stand up if we are to live our lives in peace and harmony. We must break through the barriers of fear. We must decide if what we fear is more dangerous to us than doing nothing. We can no longer sit in huddles and gossip about the next door neighbor or your friend's husband. You must make a contribution to society. Your contribution can be as little as becoming informed and teaching your children about integrity and character and respecting themselves and others. Or you can go beyond collecting information and participating in the elevation of the self-esteem of those living around you. Either way, you will be making a difference and a contribution to your society and to your community and to yourself. The survival of any people is predicated on the lives of the young and how well a community changes. History has taught us that the survival of any species is predicated on the adaptation and change. We must now seriously consider changing if we are to survive as a nation that our forefathers designed. Please take time to go to our website, touchedbythelight.us, and read the first chapter of this book. We believe you will be impressed and you'll find that there's information in this book that can help you and members of your family.
For just $13.95, we'll give you a book that will save your life. Not your life alone, but for the entire woman you interact with. Life-Saving Advice is a book by a woman who has seen it all. The 248-page black and white print gives you massive insight to identify potential danger around you. It outlines the characteristics of harmful people likely to put your life at risk. Isn't it life-saving? Hurry now. Go to https://touchedbythelight.us/regular publications instantly and obtain your copy. Making an excuse is easy. The consequences are fussy. In fact, we always find ourselves failing to achieve our goals because we succeed in making excuses. The good news is, the author of What You Must Do to Win has yet another book for you. The Cure You Need for a Change. What You Need to Win. The book title speaks it all. Reading its 276 pages is worth it. Be a courage woman to read and inspire others. Go to https://touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications and get your copy now for only $14.95. Life is at its best when you get to the mountaintop. Nevertheless, at times we lose our way and land in the valley. Adversity comes and shakes us in fear. What do you do at such a time? Where do you get your strength when it's gone? Be Not Defeated in Hard Times is the book you need to overcome such fears and gain back your strength. It's cheap, $10.95 only. To purchase this book, log into https://touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications before it's out of stock. Are you a woman seeking solace? Or are you a woman in need of the comfort of prayers? Or are you one distressed and disturbed? It doesn't matter your niche. The Prayer Jar is a book just for you. It deserves your study table. The author, a fellow woman, writes this book inspirationally to address your prayer needs in every situation. The book does not only bring you closer to God, but it also leads you to a mature prayerful life. The printing is in black and white. Don't wait. Go to https://touchedbythelight.us/regular-publications to get your copy instantly for $14.95 only. The Prayer Jar, a Christian book for your prayer life.
Today, I choose love. From my past, my future, to my family and friends, I choose love. With everything we've got going on in the world today, all the hate and negativity, love is all we have, and it's all we need. If you can start each day with love, you will watch your world change. But the time is now to forgive, to forget, to move on. Do this and your perspective will change. If I know one thing, I would rather live in a world with love and openness than a world full of pain. And it's our choice to believe in something bigger than us. One world, one people, one love.
Reading is one of the most important activities that a person can participate in. A world of information is available to you. This information can help you shape and change not only your life, but the lives of your children and spouse. Visit the website touchedbythelight.us and find yourself a book to read. For more information, you can email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. Dear male listeners, our show may be called Women of Courage, but our name should not stop you from listening to our show. You have as much to learn and to consider as women. Why? Because many of you are fathers, sons, and brothers. And you need to understand those forces and situations that affect the female members of your family. So we do implore you to listen to our show with an ear for understanding. Thank you. If you are a person who would like to contribute to our discussion of violence against women, please email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com, or you can call us at 734-786-3233 and leave a message. We are forming a think tank of individuals that would like to contribute to the solution of this problem. The death of these women is deafening. I am tired of this violence. We need to seek a solution. Part of this solution is discussing this subject with males when they are 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. Males need to, and girls also need to accept they may be rejected by people during their lifetime. There's nothing we can do about the rejection except continue to live our lives. The violence in our community is devastating. Violence must be confronted. If you are of any profession and you would like to contribute, just send us information. You don't even have to send us your name. But if there's information that you can share that will help us with this problem, we would appreciate it. Lend your voice to our effort. Again, we can be reached at the email address murderedvoices@gmail.com. We can also be reached on the phone at 734-786-3233. If you have any time to spare, join us. We will appreciate any contribution. Join us at the Women of Courage show every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. for information that will change your life. You can also visit us at our website, touchedbythelight.us, for more information. Thank you. If you do not like your life, then change it. Listen to us when we broadcast, and we can help you find a new way.